Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Egoscue with Kimberly. Today is November 1st, Monday at 11 a.m. Take it away, Kim.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, everybody. So last week we did something a little bit easier. We're going to head back into easy and hard again. Going to challenge everybody because we need that. We need that challenge. So the tools that we're going to be using today in our posture class is going to be a strap. This definitely must be a belt off of a pair of pants. There has to be a lot of resistance on this. You cannot use a fashion belt. For those of you who've never done Egoscue with me before, it has to be a regular belt. So a regular leather belt where you apply pressure and it doesn't move, that's what you need. The other thing we're going to be using today is going to be a block or a pillow. And this pillow can come right off of your bed, everybody. If you do take this off of your bed because you don't have like one of those pink yoga blocks, you're going to fold the pillow in half because we also want to have a lot of resistance when we do use this. But we're going to start out with some really easy moves. Start out with the more therapy version, and then we're going to get into what I call a little more of a workout. We're going to start out in our static back position. Now, this could be a chair. This could be an ottoman. Usually not a bed. A bed is a little bit too high. What we want to do is trap our legs at 90 degrees. And at any time, if any of these moves don't feel right to you, just skip it. I'll try to modify as much as I can and give you as many modifications as I can think of. Like this one, for instance, if you cannot get down on the floor, you can either pile up a bunch of pillows on the bed and lay on the bed. That's an option. You can also just sit in a chair and wiggle your butt all the way to the back corner of the chair. So you're sitting at a nice 90-degree angle. This is what we're going for. Of course, the best way to do this is to be able to lay on the floor. So if you cannot get up off of the floor, it's a good idea to have somebody nearby who might be able to help you get off the floor, because we don't want the floor to be a scary place. So we're laying here for maybe a good 5 minutes. And that's about how long it takes for the body to actually respond in this move, is 5 minutes to get an initial response. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes, but usually 5. For those of you that are new, I want you to double check. If your head is pointed behind you because of the position of your shoulders and your back, go ahead and put a pillow underneath your head. So we want to keep the face neutral to the ceiling, and we want to allow the body to relax into that position. If it's not and you're rounded, you're going to start getting some neck tension, and we don't want that. I used to just have this one block without my 2-inch riser. And if you notice, my heels actually go lower than my knees. And then when I relax, my thighs drop open and I'm no longer at 90 degrees anymore. So I did get myself a riser years ago, and this traps my legs at a full 90 degrees. When I relax, they can't flop open. There's nowhere that my legs can go. So just to reiterate, what we're going for is trapping the body in certain positions. And that way, the body will start to recruit the correct muscles for these different positions. And that's the auto correction. That term that I use, autocorrect, is what the body does as we stimulate it with these exercises. That's why Egoscue is so helpful. You don't need any special freaky tools or any crazy exercises that are so involved that nobody can do them. They're pretty simple. Last week, somebody did mention that what's the deal with the new Egoscue book coming out? And I did confirm, yes, there is a new Egoscue book, Pain-Free, coming out. It shouldn't be very different than the original. It's just updated pictures and a little bit of the updated wording. We'll see. We'll see if anybody grabs that thing. I've got enough of Pete's books. I'll let you guys buy it first if you want to. Hey, you know what? Library Press is probably going to have it as well. So just a little updated version of Pain-Free. Time flies when you're laying on your back. Any of you that are new and have never done this move before, I hope you're noticing that something is starting to change. We're getting towards that 3-minute mark. You might notice that your lower back is starting to flatten into the floor, or one of your shoulders that was off of the floor is now starting to sink into the floor. So we're using gravity to coax the body into a more symmetrical position. We've got about 45 more seconds that we're going to be laying here, or for some of you sitting here. And I want you to really pay attention to how your pelvis feels on the floor, because in 2 more moves, we're going to be doing some stuff on the wall. And I want you to keep your pelvis as neutral as it is laying here on the floor. So it's going to take a little bit of effort when we do it, when we finally get there. But I really want you to get a feel. You can see me, I'm always palpating my body, seeing where things are, seeing where my one hip is as opposed to the other, one side of my pelvis is as opposed to the other. You want to feel how neutral both sides of your pelvis are, or are pretty neutral, should be pretty neutral. Pretty neutral. We're going to take this to the wall and we're going to do adduction, abduction, which just means opening and closing of the legs. That's it. So I'm going to show you 2 different angles, camera angles of this, because this might get a little confusing to some of you. And that block isn't in the way at all. Okay, good. So I'm going to come over to the wall. Same idea here. I'm still in that same 90-degree angle, but I'm placing my feet either on the wall or on the door. And you want to keep your ankles just as high as your knees. And you want to keep your knees and ankles just as wide as your hips. So it's about the length of a dollar bill. I'm keeping my feet parallel as well, so my feet stay on the train tracks. I drop my knees open, and you see I come to the outside edges of my feet. I come in, and my knees touch back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to show you from the other angle so that you can see I really am still at that 90-degree angle. My knees are directly over my hips. They're not behind. They're not in front. My knees aren't, it's not too deep. And you want to stay right in that static back position that we just came out of. Drop open and close, open and close. I'm going to do that for about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Every 5 reps or so, double check your feet. They will have a tendency to evert, which means they're going to start pointing out at 45-degree angles. You want to do your best to keep them parallel to each other. You also want to drive this movement from the area of your hip. There are many muscles that are working here. When you open, the muscles on the outside are doing some work. When you close, the muscles towards the inside are doing the work. So it's switching back and forth, but you want to drive from the area of your hip. Even here, as you're opening and closing your legs, I want you to pay attention to where your pelvis is. So you should really be laying on the ground if you can. If you cannot get this done, basically I'm sitting in a chair. So there's no harm in sitting in a chair and just opening and closing your legs this way. Some of you may be in that situation. So it doesn't matter what position you do this in, but this is the best position to do it and to get a full benefit because the floor is trapping us. So you want to feel that, yes, my pelvis is pretty neutral. You don't have one side of your pelvis lifted all the way up to the sky. It shouldn't be, because the floor is there to help hold it even. I want you to pay attention to the distance between your hip and your rib on both sides. So my left hip and left rib, my right hip and right rib. That's the distance that we don't want to change for our next move. Because our next move is going to incorporate a crossing over of the leg. It's a toughie, but we're going to use the wall as a bit of an assist. And again, it can be done sitting in a chair. You don't have to do this on the wall. Anybody feel their inner thighs turning on? Anybody feel maybe their glutes turning on, their butt cheeks turning on as they drop open? You might feel your feet starting to cramp, especially if you're doing your best to keep your feet parallel. So that's another key component. Muscles that aren't used to working in this pattern will start to turn on. Your calves might be cramping, maybe one side and not the other. This is such a simple move, but so very important. You wouldn't think that this would help an athlete in his sport, but it certainly will. Nobody checked me on that one. My feet are a little bit too high than my knees. Nobody checked me. Oh boy. And those few inches made all the difference. It's so much harder to do now. So just double check yourselves because I was totally cheating. Totally. All right. We're going to move on to what's called the assisted hip lift. Assisted hip lift. It's called assisted hip lift because we're going to keep using the wall. Or if you're sitting in a chair, your feet are going to be on the floor. I'm going to cross my left ankle to my right knee. And this is where you don't want to start to contort your body. You want to do your best to place the ankle on the knee without twisting to avoid the load. That's what I meant when I said pay attention to the neutrality of your pelvis. So try to keep your pelvis right where it is with both of your feet on the wall. Then do the crossover. It's all right if you lift a little bit. I mean, you're not going to be perfect. We're going to do this crossover, and we're going to use just the muscles in the legs to draw the left knee towards the wall. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what it looks like. This is not really rocket science here, everybody. We're still starting at the 90-degree angle. I'm going to cross over, and that distance between my hip and my rib is staying the same. I'm not twisting. So I want you to still stay as neutral as you can. We're going to hold here for 1 minute. This is a strong move. You're drawing your left knee towards the wall using the muscles around your hip. Hopefully you're feeling your butt do it. I'm not using my hands to help push. That's a no-no. That is a no-no. In a lot of the Egoscue moves, it's a very different style than what you might see in yoga. We keep yoga with yoga, Egoscue with Egoscue. Just reiterating again, I'm trying to keep my pelvis just as neutral as it was before. So I'm not hiking my hip up into my ribs. My pelvis and my torso should stay the same as it was when both of my feet were on the wall. Only thing that has moved is my left hip. So it's outwardly rotated at this point. That's all it is. All right, we're going to switch to the other side. Place your feet back on the wall, that beautiful position in line with your hips. I'm going to cross the right ankle to the left knee. Again, try not to contort. 1 minute. Drawing the right knee away from me towards the wall now. We have done this move in the past where we haven't used the wall as an assist. We've just had the legs floating in the air, which is very challenging. So this is an option. Okay, come on out. Now we're going to add on to this move, turn it into a hip crossover stretch. Same idea here. And again, if you are not on the floor and you are on a chair, you can get this done as well. So I'm starting in my hook lying position, ladies and gentlemen. My arms are out to a T with my palms face down. I'm going to go back to my left ankle, crossing over to my right knee. We just came off the wall doing this, but now I'm going to add a twist. So I'm going to leave my upper body where it is and twist through my waist slowly and let my legs fall over to the right. Same idea though. I'm not letting my leg flop in. I'm using the outside of my hip to draw the knee away from me, and it's starting to point towards the ceiling. This is our hip crossover stretch. You don't want any sliding of your feet on the floor. And if you're doing this sitting in a chair, you can just cross your ankle over to your knee and just twist your chest towards the side. That's all. That's all I'm doing. It's just twisting my body. You got to get really creative with some of these moves when you're hindered or limited by your ability to get on the floor or not. And that's how Pete Egoscue came up with a lot of these moves. Some are borrowed from Pilates or yoga, but some you won't see anywhere else. He came up with them. You got to add a little bit of creativity. Something's not working out for you. Now, I've worked with people who have missing arms. So we got to get creative. Come on out. I'm going to switch to the other side. Make sure you clean up your form before you switch to the other side. So I'm making sure my feet are parallel again. Crossing the ankle, being really clean with the form is going to help recruit the muscles as symmetrically as we can. Twist. So I hope I prepped you well enough for this hip crossover stretch. Some of you may have a hard time doing it, but we did the assisted hip lift on the wall. So hopefully you'll be a little bit more limber and you might be able to come through with the twist on this. Again, this is just as simple as crossing an ankle to a knee, sitting in a chair, and then twisting my chest towards my bent knee. That's all. Doesn't matter if you twist one way or the other way. You're stimulating your body in a new way that you don't do throughout the day. And the body's going to respond. It doesn't matter if you do it wrong, do it right, just do something. Do something. Fantastic. Let's come out of this and take it into upper spinal floor twist. Another one of our favorites. My favorite, at least. I'm going to lay completely on the side. Remember that first move we came into, the static back? Same idea here, except I'm going to stick my arms straight out in front of me and stack everything. So I'm stacking my shoulders, my hands, my knees, my ankles. Hold the stack with your bottom hand. Key here. You want to keep the knees in a vertical stack. I'm going to open up my top arm. Just going to hold for a minute. I'm letting my top arm kind of hang. Yeah, there's a lot of tension in my arm, and there probably is for you as well. So just let it hang, let the stretch happen. If this is too much leverage on your shoulder, you can rest your hand on your ribs. You can even rest your arm on a bunch of pillows or on a couch. Again, if I were to do this sitting in a chair, all I'm doing is sitting, holding my knees, and twisting my upper body. That's all I'm doing. And you'll notice in Egoscue, we always do both sides. Always do both sides. In very, very rare cases have I avoided doing opposite sides. Very rare. And that's only because the person who was doing them was in such severe pain. I said, you know what? Let's skip it. We'll skip it. So we always listen to the body. All right, switch your side. That was upper spinal floor twist, half. Here's the other half. Lay on your side, and we'll set it up. I'm sure you guys can feel, if you are laying on the floor getting this move done, the work that's going on right behind your scapula. So this is a lot of leverage being placed on the glenohumeral joint, which is just where your shoulder meets your arm. And there's a lot going on here. There's also a lot going on in the hip that's laying on the floor. You may or may not feel that depending on how weak or how strong you are there, but that bottom hip has to hold. So it has to contract to hold all of this leverage and all of this weight. So this actually is a hip demander. It's a demander. It's a very demanding move for your bottom hip. It's putting demand there. Okay, fantastic. Now that we got the shoulders into some different positions here, I'm going to take you into the frog position. We're going to do pullovers, and then we're going to do elbow curls with the strap. Haven't seen that one in a long time. So first off, we're going to start out in our frog position, which is both of the feet are going to touch at the bottoms, and the knees are going to drop out. You can do this laying on the floor, but if you're not on the floor, you're going to be doing your pullover sitting in a chair, and that's okay too. And have everybody come into your frog position. Both of the knees flop out. Bring your heels as close as you can towards your crotch. You're going to reach your arms up towards the sky, keeping the elbows straight. That is really important. Then drop the arms backwards overhead and bring them back over your chest. We're going to go back and forth, back and forth. So we just came out of a one-sided move, a unilateral move, and we are doing a bilateral move just to add a little more symmetry after that. Keep your strap nearby or your belt nearby. So we're going to do elbow curls, Bill Murray style, with a little added bonus. Okay, I think I'm cheating. I just hit the floor with my thumbs. I have to be cheating. This is the first since the surgery in February that I actually hit the floor. There's some amount of cheating, but a little part of me is cheering inside. Yay! Keep going, Kim. Okay, I'm going to come close to the camera so I can show you guys who don't know what a modified golf grip is. Take your strap, everybody. We're going to use it. Modified golf grip is this. You're going to take your hands to fists, and then you're going to flatten out your fists. Really odd look. And it's not attainable for everybody. I've seen some people who've got pain in their fingers that they can't quite achieve it. It's okay. It's okay. But that's the position we're going to be taking with our hands. Now, with the strap, you're going to put the strap around your arms today, everybody. It's going to go around the arms. Okay. And you want your elbows to be shoulder distance when you do this move. So I'm actually going to loosen this up just a little bit. Shoulder distance. Same distance as your shoulder joints. We're going to take the modified golf grip and keep our knuckles touching our temples. We're going to lay down when we do this. I'm going to apply pressure on the strap and then let it go. Apply and let it go. Kind of like what we do when we put this around our legs. I'm just going to take myself to the hook lying position. So my knees are bent. My feet are pointed straight ahead. I'll put my knuckles and my temples. They stay touching. They stay there. Push out on the strap and let it go. Push out and let it go. Push out and let it go. These are called elbow curls with strap. How creative. Elbow curls with strap. Can you do these sitting in a chair? Yes, you can. Try to keep your modified golf grip nice and clean and tight. Everybody feel what's going on through their body when they're doing this? You can feel both of your shoulder blades trying to retract and come back and down. This is a bit of a strength builder. You don't often see this move either. Over and over, that's what I'm doing. Pressing out on the strap, which isn't moving, by the way. It's not moving, it's got a ton of resistance. Wow, my left side is getting tired. Good, good. I know that side is weak. Okay. I'm going to stop with the strap. We're going to use the strap for our next move as well. This is going to be the calf and hamstring stretch, but it's more than that. It's more than a stretch. So don't use it as a stretch. Egoscue is also work at the same time. I like to use the entire strap. Your strap might be too short, so you might actually have to loop your foot and tighten it all the way up so that you can use the entire strap. But this is the position we're going to start out in. So you want to make sure that you have enough strap to hang on to as a little bit of an assist. But most of the work is going to be done with your hip muscles around your leg. So this is our calf and hamstring stretch. We're in our hook line position, so knees are bent. I'm going to extend my left leg straight out. Of course, this thing isn't going to work for me. All right, loop it is. I'm going to extend my left leg straight out. I'm going to keep the strap across the entire ball of my foot. I don't want to be lazy with that, because what I want to do is make my ankle as square and perfect as I can using my eyes. I'm going to play with that. Put this across the ball of the foot. And if you can't lay on the floor, you can definitely get this done in a chair. I'm going to keep my thighs parallel to each other. The first portion of this is our calf stretch, but we're going to keep the ankle dorsiflexed. So I'm pulling my toes towards me and pushing my heel away from me, and my thigh is tight. All of that leverage is going onto my hip. I'm going to hang out here for 1 minute. If you cannot get this done in 1 minute, maybe you can only last 10 seconds, then just do that. But if you notice, I can actually let my strap go, and I can still hold my leg in this position with my knees straight. This is tough. It's tough to do for some of you. So use your strap as a bit of an assist. 80% of the work is done with your hip. 20% of it is done with your strap. And again, I'm holding my ankle in the prettiest position I can. It's not everted, it's not inverted, it's not supinated or pronated. I'm trying to keep the ankle very still, the way that I would want it to look, as if I was taking a step in a perfect world. So this is a great chance to look at that and adjust. Adjust the direction your kneecap is pointing. My knees now have a tendency to kind of go in, so I can outwardly rotate, adjust my foot, blah, blah, blah. Coming to the second portion of this. Now, if you're having trouble here and your leg is tired, go ahead and switch. But I'm going to take the second portion because I can. I'm going to take the strap to the very center of my foot. And now I'm coming into the hamstring portion. Notice I'm not yanking on the strap to get my leg up there. I'm using my leg muscles to get my footprint on the ceiling, and the strap becomes an assist. That's it. I'm not pulling until my knee is bending and my butt's lifting. Butt stays on the floor. So this is the hamstring portion. Again, if it's too much for you to jump right into the second exercise on the same leg, go ahead and switch to the other leg. You won't be left behind, I promise. There's a lot of realigning going on here, but the only way it's going to take place and sustain itself is if you do the work. So you cannot bend your knee here. You must keep your thigh engaged. You must keep pushing your heel away from you. And you must keep using your leg muscles and hip muscles to pull your toes towards your nose. This is a working move. I know you feel it. Wonderful. Switching my other side here. Remember, when you come to the calf portion of this exercise, you want to start out with your thighs parallel to each other. That's where the legs should begin. That's where we begin. So my thighs are parallel to each other. Just setting up my knee. Oh, this side is tough. Whew, this ankle's messed up. Well, I'll do the best I can. Can't get everything perfect, right? I'll try to keep my leg as straight as I can. 1 minute. Remember, 80% of the work is being done with the muscles around the hip. My leg is holding here. See, look, Mom, no hands, no hands, no hands. Both of my shoulders are on the ground. Both of my elbows are on the ground. I'm not twisting my upper body. If you notice that you're pulling your big toe side of your foot towards you stronger than your pinky toe side, fix it. Try to adjust that. Not going to kill you if you don't, but these are just little nuances that I've learned over the years that actually help me in this move. So if you can, and you can make it look pretty, you do it. Okay, switching. So I'm sliding the strap to the very center of my foot. I know this is hard work, everybody. And now putting the footprint on the ceiling using the muscles of my hip. Try not to push into the floor with your opposing leg if you are laying on the floor with me here. So this is not about trying to get the leg as high as you possibly can by any means necessary. This is about using the means of your right hip. We're trying to gain some symmetry. Gaining symmetry here. The only way that we can gain that symmetry is if we let the body recruit the muscles. At least in this style. Can you have somebody lean on your leg and yank it, pull it, and rip it and tear it so that it's just like the other side? Possibly. Then it wouldn't be a Gascu. Okay, come on out. I want you guys to grab your block or your pillow. Put a little bit more symmetry into this before we stand up and I get your heart rate up a little bit more. So I'm still in the hook lying position. I put my block or my pillow in between my knees and I'll lay here for 2 minutes and just squeeze out some knee pillow squeezes. Knee pillow squeezes. Yes, you can do this sitting in a chair. It's Thigh Master. I know you guys know Suzanne Summers. You apply pressure onto your block and then you release it. So the workout I have picked for us for today is called Core, Core, Core. Remember I told you I stole all these workouts from the Agaski workout program, and now they actually have them for sale up on I think it's on Vimeo, something like that, but I stole them all. So I'm flipping through, and this is the one called Core, Core, Core. And that's so funny because Brian Bradley hates that word, and I have learned to hate that word. If you guys have visited my blog on my website when it was still up, I throw up like the 3 different buzzwords that make 0 sense and everybody keeps using them. And one of them is core. Where is your core? What is your core? You get 10 different answers because it doesn't exist. It's just a buzzword. It's just a buzzword. And I've even heard doctors using that word. I want to smack them upside the head. You have to strengthen your core so that you don't have back pain. Okay, really? Really? Where is your core? What does that mean? What am I strengthening? My apple core? So silly. Got 30 more seconds, everybody. Just keep squeezing and releasing. It's not about strength here. Even though this is a strengthening move, it's not about giving everything you can. This is about symmetry. So you want to give maybe 40, 50% of your effort. That's it. Even less. Do less to do more. We are going to be utilizing a chair for our workout routine today. So eye up a nice, solid, stable chair for yourselves. I'm going to use a chair. But before we get to that portion, we start out with an air bench. Air bench it is. The air bench is not an easy move. I'll show you two different angles. This is the angle from the side, obviously. Never done an air bench before. What I want you to pay attention to is that your feet are going to come out further than your knees. I do not want 90 degrees here. That's a no-no. So what we want to do is actually use the thigh muscles to push the lower back into the wall. When you do it from the front, I want your feet and your knees to be hip distance. They have to be hip distance, everybody. And that's not easy to achieve. So if your knees love to dive out, they love to dive in, put a pillow in between your knees, and that'll help gain a little more symmetry. So again, what I'm doing is I am pushing my lower back into the wall using my thigh muscles. You don't have to come as low as I am. You might have some knee pain if you do that. Maybe, I don't know. It's not going to kill you, but if that happens, go ahead and slide your hips up a little bit higher on the wall. So again, this is the routine called core, 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 which means it's probably going to be a lot of hip and a lot of shoulders. Keep using your thigh muscles. I'm really jamming my lower back into the wall, pushing into the wall. Okay, pause, everybody. Come on off the wall. Check where the heck I am here. Okay, now we're going to do side step overs. Not an easy move. You can turn it into a hop, but a step over is okay as well. I'm going to place my hands on the chair in front of me. It doesn't matter how high your chair is. It doesn't matter how low your chair is. So just put it where it's going to be for you today. You can either pretend that this is a nice long bench and you're stepping over it, or you can go grab a bench and go ahead and step over it. So it's a side step over. Pick your leg up, place it over, pick your other leg up, place it over, and the other way. Up and over, from the front, looks like so. That's why it's called a side step over, everybody. So if you're using a chair and you don't have anything that looks like this ottoman that I'm basically using, you're going to do that. Imagine. If you want to, this can turn into a hop. So there's that option. We're going to go for this for 1 minute. Good luck. You can step or you can hop. Of course, my earplugs falling out. Pause, everybody. Sit to stand is next. So you're going to come onto your chair as normal. If you noticed when you did your air bench that your knees dove in or your knees came out, I want you to grab your pillow or your block, and you're going to put it between your legs. Sit to stand. We are going to do this for 2 minutes. You're going to interlace your hands behind your head and draw your elbows back and down. We're going to keep them there while you sit and stand. If this hurts your shoulders, put your hands on your shoulders. If that still hurts, put your hands on your waist. I want you to do your best, though, to keep your shoulders drawing back and down while you do this movement. 2 minutes. Sit, stand. That's all it is. I stand up, I sit down. Try not to throw your weight too heavily into it. You want to turn this into a lift, not a throw, a lift. Only reason why I have that pillow between my knees is because one of my legs loves to dive in more than the other. So this is going to create a little more symmetry. Not going to hurt you either if you put a strap around your knees and you try that. You'll notice it recruits different muscles in your legs. Oh, boy. Losing a little feeling in my fingers there. To be expected. Everybody's looking good. Need a break? Take a break. You can only do one, that's okay too. But guess what this is going to stop you from doing? Turning around and reaching for the seat that you're going to sit into. This is getting your hips back in action. If you cannot get down onto hands and knees to do cats and dogs with me, you're going to stay in your chair and you're going to do cats and dogs in your chair. We're actually going to do it for a minute. So you can keep your hands on your thighs, arch and tuck, back and forth, or come down to the floor with me and do cats and dogs down there. We're going to do it for 1 minute. Uno, minuto. Notice when I'm doing cats and dogs, I am focusing on my shoulders going through protraction and retraction. I am trying to initiate it from my pelvis and my hips rather than initiating it from my head. Big difference. But I'm not letting my shoulders get stuck. It's less important that I crane my head up than it is that I get my shoulders moving. Some of my clients are quite weak in this regard, and they cannot get a cats and dogs out. Looks horrendous. They've lost so much strength, especially in the shoulders and their ability to hold them in this position. I don't want you guys to get there. Good. 1 minute's up. Next move is not easy. It's lateral bear crawl. I want you to think of it like a moving downward facing dog. In the Egoscue style bear crawl, we don't do it the same as you might normally see. I do keep my knees bent really deeply so that I can force my weight to come onto my hips rather than my hands. And that's a tough thing to do, to be honest. It's mostly when we come to our hands and knees and we do our lateral bear crawl, a lot of this weight is going to be on our arms, but we want this to be more hip driven. I'm going to show you how you can do this not on hands and knees on the floor, but using a couch. So I'm going to start out showing you how I do it. See how deeply bent I am? I've got my knees bent deeply and I've got my butt squished down towards my heels. I'm going to take a step out to the side walk my hands, walk my hands, walk my hands. But what I want to do is think about my butt. I'm sliding my butt over to the side. Take the step, slide, like I'm pulling using my leg, and my hands are just finishing the movement. From the side, looks like this. And I'm sure you can get the idea. If you really wanted to, you could put your hands on top of your couch and do the same thing. Extend the leg, slide, 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 hands follow. Again, extend the leg, pull, pull, slide, slide, hands follow. If you were doing this on a couch, it's going to be a lot easier. So there's a modification. Put your hands on top of your couch, squat as deeply as you can, take a step, and just walk your hands down the couch. We're going to go for this for 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, before we run out of time. Timer is going to get going here. Whether you use your couch or use the floor, I don't care. Lateral bear crawls. Go for it. Extend the leg, hip driven, everybody. Hip driven. So think, keep my weight over my butt, over my hips, over my legs. See how slowly I'm going? There's a reason why I'm going that slow. Extend the leg, hips, hips, hips. Keep my weight on my legs. Legs, legs, legs. That's the key. Keep bent deeply. If I was behind you, I'd have my hands right in your hip creases. I'd be pulling you back. Extend the leg. Weight on the hips, weight on the hips. Weight on the hips. Hope everybody's legs are as tired as I am at this point. Extend. Replace, 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 replace. Oh, minute's done already? Come on. All right, I'll take it. I'm gonna have everybody come into a squat. I'm gonna hold that for 1 minute. It's a free squat, so we're not gonna touch anything. I'm gonna keep the feet flat on the floor. Now I want you to keep your feet parallel and hip distance. I'm gonna put my arms straight in front of me and squeeze my shoulders back. That's the hard part about this. And when I squat down, I wanna think a nice S curve in my back. So I don't want to round. I want to think S curve. See that S curve I created? Think about that when you're doing the squat. Arms out, shoulders back, squat. Wonderful. I'm gonna head right back to air bench, everybody. Right back to air bench. Gonna hold there for 1 minute. Then put your back against your door or on your wall, wherever you started before. I'm gonna take it one last time. One last time. I don't like that, Matt. Go away, Matt. That's better. Oh. Again, I'm pushing my lower back into the wall using my thigh muscles. I don't care if you can last a minute with me. Maybe you can last 10 seconds. Do what you can. Hold out with me for 8 more seconds. You can do it. You can do it. And time. Walk yourself off the wall. Hope your legs are as noodle legged as mine are. Whew. I'm gonna get back down for cats and dogs. One more round. Again, if you can't do that, you're gonna get onto your chair. And we're just gonna squeeze out 10 of these. Get your shoulders involved. Shoulders come back and down. And shoulders come away from each other. Protract, retract. Last move. Sehr good, everyone. I hope you will join me again next week for some of this mishmash of easy and hard. It's good for you. Thank you so much for being with me this week. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.